Welcome back. We can dive right into the gameplay and go ahead and draw our next card. But this time, I'm going to remember to use a seer. Roll 1d6 and see if I can get a 6. I cannot. So we'll draw one card as normal. Oh, and it's a weapon. We have a hand halberd. Some people call it an axe. And it costs 400 paper gold. And it gives us an additional 3 to attack. I'll go ahead and purchase that for 400. And decide who should take the hand halberd. I'm going to go ahead and load up the sailor here. He's got a couple pieces of armor already to make his defense a 12. I can give him this hand halberd, which will make his attack a 10. And with that base number of 7, he'll get to go before some of the higher level monsters that we're going to see here, as opposed to the 13 of the assassin, which is already a pretty strong attack, but he'll usually go later in the combat round because of his high base number. So we'll go ahead and add this hand halberd to the sailor. Our sailor geared up, got that hand halberd ready to go. He still has the ball of string also. I just put it off to the side just so it's easier to see on camera. Let's roll our 6-sided dice for the seer before we draw. Oh, got a 5. Close but not good enough. And it's going to be another piece of equipment. And this time it is a very thick cloak. Your best defense against cold nights. And it only costs 100. And it does only provide 1 additional armor. I'll spend the 100. And I will go ahead and add on the very thick cloak also to the sailor, who has the helmet, the gauntlets, and the very thick cloak now. So his armor when he gets attacked is now a 13, which is an equivalent to the assassin. So we have 2 13s available for defense, and the sailor is going to take most of the attacks, at least for now, while his hit points are at 3, as opposed to the assassin, who's only 1. Let's roll for the seer. Nope. Now that I'm remembering it, I'm probably never going to hit it. Oh, we have a location. The Grotto of Rejuvenation. Every adventurer receives 3 hit points up to the maximum, which is 6. Not only are we going to get 3 each, but since we have the sailor, who gives us 1 hit point additional when we have a blue or watery journey card, so everyone's going to get 4. So I'll go ahead and change those real quick. Adding 4 on to everybody almost maxed every one of our heroes out. Only assassin was down at 1, which brought him up to 5, so we're in much better shape than we were prior to running into the Grotto of Rejuvenation. Discard the Grotto, move on, roll for the seer, still no success, and luckily it's another item. We're dodging the monsters right now. It's a sentient mace. Does 3 hit points of damage on 2 consecutive hits. Costs 500 paper gold and adds additional 3 to the attack. I gave the sentient mace to the cleric. It doesn't say that spellcasters can't use it. And a cleric and a mace from my old 1st and 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons days. It makes perfect sense to me. The cost of it is 500 paper gold, so I'll discard that. My thought process is that the cleric will be able to attack with a 9 now, and is also a lower number. So now we have a couple people that can attack early against the more stronger, more difficult monsters. Let's check and see if the seer comes through. No, not at all. Oh, and here we go. It's a monster, but this isn't a tough one. Looks kind of sad. It's a ghoul. On a critical hit, the ghoul steals a body. Discard 1 deceased adventurer. Battle ends. No reward. And he has a base number of 3 and 2 hit points. The only character that's going to go before the ghoul is our bard here with a base value of 2. The bard is a 2 going against a 3, which means the bard would need an 11. And we have a 5 and an 8. I don't think I'm going to use the bonus die here to do 1 wound, or I guess I could, because no, we're not in any danger with all the health we have. We'll just leave it at that. The bard just missed. We'll have the sailor step forward and defend the group against the ghoul with the close-fitting helmet, evening gloves, and very thick cloak. It's going to give him a defense of 13. So a 3 going against a 13 is only going to hit on a natural 20. The ghoul has 2 hit points still, so he gets to roll both. And a 9 and a 16 is not going to be a hit. We'll see if our team of merchant and seer can take care of this ghoul before we have to go any further. When we get to the cleric, who can do 2 hit points with the extrinsic ability, is going to take care of the ghoul anyway. But let's see if the merchant and seer can take them out. They're both 4s going against a 3, so they would need a 9 to score a hit. We'll start with the merchant, who has exhibited no combat ability whatsoever, really. But we'll see how he does against a ghoul. Well, he got 1 hit on the ghoul, so that 13 will do a wound. We could use the bonus die to add on to that 7, which would give us an 11 because the bonus die is currently on 4. So the merchant attacking that 3 would only need a 9. So both of those will now become hits, and the merchant will get his first kill. The merchant manages to take the ghoul out, and he's going to give us 200 paper gold for defeating. And our bonus die will now go from a 4 to a 5. We'll roll with the seer. We did not get a 6. We come to another blue card. You flotsam, you jetsam. Roll 1d6. Uh-oh. Lose overboard. 1 to 3, 1 item. 4 to 5, 2 items. Roll a 6, we lose an adventure. Ouch. Alright. We got a 1. And that was the 1 item, I think. Yes, 1 to 3, lose 1 item. Now I have to decide on how I'm going to handle this. We have the ball of string, and then hand halberd, close-fitting helmet, evening gauntlets, very thick cloak, and a sentient mace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll roll a 6-sided dice and see which item we lose. I feel that it should be random. You wouldn't choose to throw something overboard in most cases. So we'll start here with the ball of string at 1. 2 is the hand halberd, working our way down, and then the 6 would be the mace. And 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We lost the evening gauntlets. Our sailor must have taken them off to wash his hands, or maybe scale a fish. Who knows what he was doing, but he managed to lose the gauntlets and the 2 armor that they provide. That was a blue card, so every adventurer would gain a health point because of the sailor. So the assassin will go from a 5 to a 6, and now everybody is at max. And I realize I'm looking at my monitor. Probably didn't get to see that 4 when I rolled it. Sorry about that. So the seer is going to roll, and it's a 1, so no luck again. Well, we found another item after we got off the boat. Short sleeve chainmail may not be worn by spellcasters. 700 paper gold, but it's worth 4 armor. He lost the gauntlets, but gained some chainmail. He can wear that with a cloak, so that's not a problem. So our sailor will now have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7, so 15 defense. So we'll have the sailor be our go-to defender now. And that chainmail cost 700, so we'll pay. Gotta pay our bills. And roll for the seer. No luck. Ah, another monster. We have a ghost. With the critical hit, paralyzes one adventurer with fear for 1 turn. That adventurer may not act. Base value of 4 and 3 hit points. Once again, our bard will be the only character that will go before the creature we're fighting, because with that base value of 4, it's the same as a merchant and the seer, so the monsters go before characters that have the same base value. The bard is a 2 going against a 4, which means she would need a 12 to hit. We have a 13 and a 9, and we'll add our bonus right away to that 9. Right now the bonus die is a 5, so that'll be a 13 and a 14, so we can score 2 hits with the bard, taking the ghost down to 1 hit point. The bard scores a couple of hits on the ghost, and now the ghost gets to attack, and our sailor will step forward. And remember, with all the armor that the sailor has on, he is now a 7, 10, 14, 15 for defense, so we have a 4 going up against a 15, which means only a natural 20 would hit. Having only 1 hit point, our ghost can only roll 1, and a 15 does not hit the sailor. We can go ahead with the merchant first, which is also a 4 just like the ghost, so we're going to need a 10 or higher. And he scored 2 hits but only needed 1. So the merchant is finally carrying his weight. The merchant seems to be doing quite well against the undead. Took care of a ghoul, took care of a ghost. The ghost had 3 hit points. It's going to give us another 300 paper gold. And our bonus die will go from a 5 to a 6. So it is at max also now. It cannot go any higher. It can go lower if we use it to cast a spell, if we didn't want to pay the 200 paper gold or 1 hit point of the spellcaster. Can our seer see the future? No, not a very effective seer. And we're going to cross paths. So we're going to have to draw the next adventurer, assign 4 hit points to them, and fight. And that's going to be the bandit. Bandit is a base level 8. You don't have to worry about that intrinsic ability. I think the bandit chose the wrong group to try and rob, because with his base card number of 8, 5 of our characters are going to take a shot before he even goes. I predict bad things in the near future for the bandit. We have the bard first. She is a 2 going against an 8, which means she would need a 16, and she scored a 17. And I'll go ahead and add that bonus die of 6 onto that 13 to get 2 hits in. So that's a 17 and a 19, doing 2 wounds to the bandit right away. The bandit takes 2 wounds and is down to 2. Let's see if the merchant can keep that streak going. He's a 4, attacking an 8, which means he would need a 14. Ooh, got 114, so he's going to do 1 wound to the bandit. The bandit's not doing too well, is down to his last hit point. The seer is ready to attack, also needing a 14. Oh, we got a natural 20. That's the end of the road for the bandit. The seer weaves some magic and finishes the bandit off. Our bandit is no more. Oh, I almost put him in the wrong spot. He's actually going to go on the bottom of the character deck. But we will get 400 paper gold for the battle. Our bonus die is not going to increase. Cash in 5 of the 100s. Alright. Let's see if our seer can see the future. Yes, this time he can. Which means we can draw 2 cards. Choose one, and the one that we don't choose will go back to the top of the deck. We have Ifrix, City of Thieves. Thieves steal half your paper gold in the night. Round value down. Well, right now we have 1,700. Or we could fight the Goblin. We don't have a bandit in the party. Alright. Well, we might as well go to the City of Thieves first. It's really not going to be much of a difference because we're only going to get 100 paper gold for defeating the Goblin. So let's just go ahead and get the theft out of the way. And we decide to stop for the night in Ifrix, City of Thieves. And we're going to lose half our paper gold rounding down. So we have 1,700. Half of 1,700. Oh no, I have to do math. Would be 850. So round down to 8. So we'll lose 800. Ouch. Yeah, we still have 900. That's not too bad. We need to get out of that city quick. And we're ready to start the next turn. And the seer is not successful, but we know we're going to have to fight a goblin. He looks a little shy, like he knows he shouldn't be coming out to combat a group of 6, but he just can't fight it. If we had a bandit in the party, he would join us. Well, the bandit is not doing too good right now, so he's not joining up. The goblin is tied with the bard, so the goblin will go first. He only has 1 hit point. He's only going to roll 1 die against our sailor, and he's going to need a 20 to hit. Our brave little goblin comes running out of the forest. Maybe he's a little overconfident because he saw us get robbed in Ifrix. Ooh, came pretty close though. 17, but that's not going to be a hit. So we'll go ahead with the bard. The bard is also a 2. Going against a 2, so we're going to need a 10. And she scores 2 hits to take care of the goblin. Bard takes care of the goblin. Takes care of another foe. We'll get 100 of our gold back that was stolen from us. Maybe he was part of the group that robbed us. Move forward with our seer. Nope, no luck. Oh, we're coming up against a high priest. Base of 6, 4 hit points. Raises 1 dead adventurer with 2 hit points to fight alongside him. Well, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have any dead adventurers. He has a base of 6, so the bard, merchant, and seer will all get to go before him. He'll get to go before the cleric, but hopefully we can do at least 2 wounds before we get to the cleric, so he can use his extrinsic ability against the high priest to take care of him if needed. Our bard is a 2 going against a 6. She needs 14 and is not successful. I think I'll wait until the merchant goes before I use my bonus die. The merchant will go. A 4 going against a 6 would need a 12. We got an 18 and a 5. 5 we can't do anything with. I probably should have used that ability with the bard, but the merchant did 1 wound. Our high priest gets taken down a notch to 3 hit points. Our seer is going to try and score at least 1 hit. A 19 and a 2. Well, that 2 won't do anything for us, but the 19 will give us another wound on the high priest, taking him down to 2. The high priest is mad. He's going to get to roll 2 dice, and he's going to go against the sailor. The high priest is going to swing that large mace at our sailor. A 6 going against a 15, which means he can hit on a 19 and a 20. Gets neither one of those, so our sailor is safe. The cleric is going to end this right now, using his extrinsic ability to inflict 2 hit points of damage on an enemy and take care of the priest. With that defeat of the high priest, we will get 400 paper gold and move on to our next journey card. And it's a location. Oznan. Ozan. The Gateway. Turn over the next adventurer card, assign 4 hit points, and initiate combat. Let's see who's blocking our way through Ozan. We have the Cavalier with a base value of 9. The Cavalier that's blocking our way has a base value of 9, so the Bard, Merchant, Seer, Cleric, and Sailor will all get to go before he does. Our Bard is a 2 going against a 9. She needs 17. We got a 19, so that's going to be 1 wound to the Cavalier. The Cavalier takes a wound from the Bard. The Merchant and Seer flank him and make their attack. The Merchant is a 4 going against a 9, which means he will need 15. There is 1 success. The Merchant managed to inflict a wound, taking our Cavalier down to 2. Let's see if that distraction of the Merchant opens up an attack for the Seer. Our Seer also needs a 15. Oh, no good. Even if I put the bonus die on that 8, it would only equal 14. The Seer misses. The Cleric will now use his fierce magic to inflict 2 wounds with his extrinsic ability, finishing the Cavalier off. The Cavalier, out of the way, opens up the gateway of Ozan, and we can travel further. We'll gain our 400 for defeating the Cavalier. Make this a little easier to see. Cash that in to get 500. We pass through the gateway. Can the Seer see what's coming? No. And it is a Sorcerer. This will be our first test. Base of 13 and 9 hit points. Attacks spellcasters first and is immune to all spells. With him having 9 hit points and a base of 13, we're going to get 5 characters to have a shot before the Sorcerer gets to go, which will go before our Assassin. So we're hoping to do as much damage as possible to bring that total down. Plus he's going to attack the spellcasters first. That's either going to be the Cleric or the Seer. Hopefully it's not the Cleric, because then we might lose our hero. So we're going to have to make good use of this bonus dice here. I don't want to use the ambush yet because I know there's monsters in there that are a lot more difficult than the Sorcerer. So we're going to hold on to our ambush card for now, and we'll start working our way through our characters. At first we're going to have our Bard, which is only a 2, and he is a 13, which means she would need a 20 to hit. So now might be an opportune time to remember that she has this extrinsic ability. She can roll 1d20, and if she gets an 18, 19, or 20, she puts the monster to sleep and they would skip their next attack. So since she's only going to hit and do a wound on a 20, I might as well try that, because if he skips his attack because she's successful, that means everyone will get to go. He'll skip his attack and then we'll get to go again before he would be up again. So let's give that a shot and have the bard try and lull the sorcerer to sleep. Hoping for a good roll here. We need an 18, 19, or 20. No. That will use up our bard's turn. Now we'll go to the merchant and the seer, which are both 4s attacking a 13. And that means that they would hit on a 19 or 20, so there's still a little bit more chance for them to hit. Plus we can use the bonus die to increase one of their rolls to do some damage. Let's go with the merchant first. Oh, so close. 17 and an 18. Should I use the bonus die yet? Yes, I'm going to use the bonus die now so I can make sure that 1 wound is inflicted by the merchant. And then we'll go ahead and roll for the seer. No good there. So only the 1 wound by the merchant. Our sorcerer will take 1 wound from the merchant. And then we get to the cleric, and I'm going to go ahead and use his ability right now to do 2 damage with his extrinsic ability. And that'll take care of another 2 wounds on the sorcerer. Now he can only use that this one time for this entire battle, so that is used up, but that's okay. He has the mace that we can use in subsequent turns. Then our sailor has a 7, but he has the hand halberd, which is going to bring him up to a 10. So a 10 attacking a 13 means he needs a 13. Sailor grabs his halberd, takes a couple of swipes at the sorcerer, and is horribly inaccurate. Just terrible. And that brings us to the sorcerer, who is going to take his turn to either attack the cleric or the seer. So our roll is 6-sided. We'll make it random. The cleric will be 1, 2, or 3. It's a 4, so the seer will be attacked. Now we're at the opposite end of the spectrum. The sorcerer is a 13 attacking a 4, which means he will automatically hit unless he rolls a natural 1. Alright, let's hope for double 1s. No, so the seer will take 2 wounds. The seer takes 2 wounds. And now the assassin, a 13 attacking a 13, so he would only need a 10. He does have the extrinsic ability, and I don't know if it's something we want to mess with right now. Choose 2 numbers, roll 1d20. Roll. If the chosen number is rolled, the enemy is killed. I don't know if I want to do that yet. I think I'll go with the normal attack, because that's a 50-50 chance that I'm going to do some damage. The percentages are really low if I'm only choosing 2 numbers. Well, we're able to do 1 wound. The assassin manages to inflict 1 wound on our sorcerer, putting him at 5 now. And that'll finish this battle round. Now we'll start the next one again with the bard, and the bonus die is available. Once again, our bard can only hit on a natural 20, so we're going to try her extrinsic ability and see if we can get an 18, 19, or 20 to lull the sorcerer to sleep. That way he would skip his attack this round. Nope, no luck there. So we'll move right into the merchant and seer, who are both 4s attacking a 13, which means that their hit would occur on a 19 or a 20. Starting with the merchant. We have an 8 and a 6. Even adding the bonus die won't help there. And then the seer, a 9 and a 3. A whole bunch of really bad rolls. Our cleric already used his extrinsic ability for this battle, so now he's going to wield the sentient mace. With an attack of 9 against a 13 means he needs a 14 to hit, and maybe we'll get lucky and get 2 consecutive hits here, which would be 3 damage thanks to the sentient mace. Our cleric gets to go. Come on, couple of... Well, we have the bonus die available. Oh, that's no good. A 6 and a 12. We can use the bonus die with the 12 to make that an 18, but we're not going to get the benefit of hitting twice to get that bonus damage. But we will do 1 wound with the bonus die. Another wound to our sorcerer. We're working our way through, and now the sailor will get to attack with his hand halberd. With the hand halberd, sailor has a 10 going against the 13 now, so we need a 13 and a 12 and a 2. That's not good. So the sorcerer is going to go before the assassin. We'll roll to see which spellcaster he attacks, and this time it's going to be the cleric. This is probably going to be 2 hits. A 13 going against a 6. The cleric has no armor, means that he only needs a 3 to hit. And he does score 2 hits on the cleric. The sorcerer levels 2 wounds on our hero, and the assassin jumps in to make an attack with his 13 against the 13. This would be an excellent time to get a couple of 10s or higher. A 10 and an 8, unfortunately, but that is another wound. It's a hard-fought battle. Our sorcerer is down to 3 health, bringing us back to our next round, making the bonus die available, and our bard gets to go first. This time I'm going to take my chances and go ahead and attack with the bard and see if I can get a natural 20 to do a wound, since the sorcerer is down to 3 health. No luck there. Then I'll move us over to our merchant and seer. Let me look at the chart again to remind myself. A 4 against a 13 needs 19. So first we will go with the merchant. 2 17s. Yeah, I'll use the bonus die to make one of those higher than 19. That way we can inflict a wound. Merchant scores a hit, bringing him down to 2. We're almost there. Our seer, seeing the sorcerer in his weakened state, rushes forward to make an attack and gets a natural 20. Nice, that's another wound. We've almost got him. The sorcerer is down to his last health point, which means he will only get to roll 1 die if he makes it past our cleric and sailor. Our cleric steps in to finish off the sorcerer with his mace, and he's going to need a 14 to hit and does not score it. The sorcerer manages to dodge the swinging mace. Our sailor will step in with his hand halberd. Also a 9, no, he's a 10. He's a 10 going against a 13, which means he needs 13. Can our sailor finish him off with his axe before he attacks one of our spellcasters? He will not. The sorcerer, even barely alive, is still managing to dodge all that we're throwing at him. So the cleric or the seer will now get attacked, and it will be the cleric. And he has a 13 attacking a 6, which means he only needs a 3. And he hits, doing another damage to the cleric. Our hero is wounded again, down to half his health in this tough battle with the sorcerer. The assassin steps forward in an attempt to finish off the sorcerer. The assassin and the sorcerer are evenly matched. We're going to need a 10. Can he finish him off? Yes. We got an 18. The sorcerer has been defeated. The final blow is inflicted, taking the sorcerer down and defeating him. He's going to give us 900 paper gold for defeating him, which which is quite a sum. Let me cash some of these ones in. Alright, and I think that might be the last 500 we have over here. It is. We're really flush with cash, and that is a good thing. And we're ready to move on. Our bonus die stays where it is. It's already maxed out. Will the seer see into the future? He will not. And we need some healing, so this is good. I can gamble, make a bet, pick a number from 1 to 20, roll 2d20. If that number rolls, collect 3 times the bet. Well, we're good on money. I don't see any need to gamble right now. Actually, why not? Let's go ahead. I'll bet 200, and I'll pick number 7 and number 13. Let's see if we get lucky. Oh, I got a 7. Oh, you can barely see that. Let me move it down just a little bit. There we go. I actually won. We bet 200, and we get 3 times our bet. That's another 600. And we'll put that all over here. I believe I get my bet back too. I'm not sure. All right. Lots and lots of paper gold. Almost out of currency that was provided. And we are at the port of Maries or Mares, and it is a blue card, which means each of our heroes will heal 1 thanks to the sailor. Our cleric and hero is back to a 4, and the seer, who almost never sees into the future, is back to a 5. And the seer makes an attempt. Gets a 3, that's not going to do it. And we have another location, which is the Titan Mines. Find 500 paper gold worth of unusual stones. Local gem merchant buys them immediately. Well, now we're making the money, so 500. Oh, still a couple left there. We'll just add these to our ridiculous stack of paper gold here. Have the seer attempt and fail, and that is it. We are home. Well, that came out of nowhere. I did not expect that to be that high in the deck. Well, that's it. That finishes our game. We're successful. And look how many cards are left here. Wow. All these tough creatures we never had to deal with. Locations we didn't see. That really caught me by surprise that I won that easily. In quite rapid and all too easy fashion, the game is done. We've made it home after our quest to the Minotaur. Our large group all made it back, several in great condition. Just a few wounds on our spellcasters. Not a big struggle for us to make it home this time. And then, remember, I made it to where the easier monsters were going to come in the first half anyway, so I made it much easier because I was hoping to go through more, but it came up sooner than expected. At the beginning of doing this series in the first video, I said that I was going to do an additional playthrough. I can still do that, but I only want to do that if enough people actually request it. I don't want to go through the time of filming and doing all the editing and music and sound effects and things if not enough people are interested in seeing another playthrough. If I do another playthrough, I would use my modified or home rules, and I'm going to go over those real quick just to let you know what they are, and maybe you want to try them with your game, and maybe you want to see them and have me do an additional playthrough. And these are in no particular order, they're just off the top of my head. When I do my playthroughs, I do random attacks. For example, if I have the Sorcerer or any monster, or even the character if it's a crossing paths card, attacking my group, I randomly pick who they attack instead of having the ability to choose every time my greatly armored or highest numbered character. You never know who the enemy is going to go after. So when you get items, you have to spread them out, especially the defensive items, spread them out to increase the base numbers of your lower characters instead of making one huge tank that can just keep taking the attacks and making it very difficult for them to get hit. And simply I roll a 6-sided dice and randomly choose who it is. And the reason I'm using a 6-sided die is one of the other rules I use is I keep the party small by never allowing more than 3 characters in my group at any time. If more characters appear or have the ability to join, I have to make the tough decision of keeping the 3 I have and just letting that character that we run into know that, hey, you know, we're not accepting members of the group right now, or we just leave them in the location that we find them and don't hire them on. Or one of my characters decides, you know, this location, it's a good place for me to end my journey. They leave, and then the new character can come on in. The hero can never change, so the hero that I pick at the beginning of the game stays the hero. So it's really only 2 other characters that I can swap out if I want to, for a total of 3 to the group. I've also done this with 4 characters, but to make it a little more difficult, I've pared it down to only having 3 at any one time. Another thing that I do to make it a tougher decision to use the bonus die is every time I use the bonus die, and I still can use it once per combat round, I reduce it by 1. So, for instance, if I was to use it here, in the first round, it would go down to a 5. And then I use it again in the second round, it would go down to a 4. That way it goes down, and it makes it a more difficult decision. Do I want to use the bonus die? Especially early on when it's like a 1 or a 2. You keep reducing it down, you never get to a high number where it's effective. Also, in relation to the bonus die, another modification that I've done to make it even more difficult at times is I can only use the bonus die once per combat with that particular creature instead of once for each combat round if I want to make it even more challenging. And I still do reduce it in that case also. And normally I don't separate the monsters at the beginning into the easier and the more difficult ones into the lower half like I did this time. I just shuffle everything together and then separate the deck in half, put the home card in the bottom half, shuffle it, and that's it. Whatever monsters come up, come up. At times I'll decide that before I start the game that if something ridiculous comes up that's just unbeatable early on, like you come across the behemoth right away, base 15 with 12 hit points, or Leviathan, a 20 with 12 hit points, I allow myself 1 mulligan, to where if something comes up that is just unbeatable, I feel right away, I give myself 1 mulligan, turn that over, I find the home card again, reshuffle everything and put it back together and try again. All of the rules that I just talked about that I use as my home rules, they're all just things I've been doing, just trying to see how the game plays with these modifications. They're all interchangeable. You can use some, use none. Let me know if you have the game, if there's any home rules that you've been using that really work for you, or if you try any of the ones that I've talked about, let me know how they work for you. And just in general, any commentary that you have on what you've seen here, and let me know for sure if you want to see another playthrough with some of the home rules added in. And I'll give you a couple of my final thoughts on the game, and we'll go through starting with the rule book. First off, I love the cover art. It really sets the tone right away. And as far as rules go, it's not a complex, rule-heavy game. And the rule book is very easy to follow. Whether it's setup, playing, explaining what the cards are. It even goes into detail with more details on the different types of adventures, different cards, different journey card types, different monsters, some of the variations that the creator of the game has in here that you can play. the appendix with the characters like I said. It's very easy, very simple and concise. We're only talking, 23 pages, and it's very easy to find information in here. And there are some expansions coming soon, which I'm definitely looking forward to. The components are great. I really like them. I mean, it came with all these dice, all these little red ones, and the green and white 6-sided and 20s. It all came with the game. I haven't run out of dice during gameplay. The only thing I've run out of has been paper gold. Sometimes I go beyond what came with the game, and that's not a concern at all. I just grab one of these dice and just throw it down there. Like if I had 500 more than was in the game, I just use that as a marker. Just like use them for markers with the health, so that's not a big deal at all. The cards themselves, they're a good stock, they're sturdy, nice and smooth, shuffle easy, but most of all, the art. The art on the card backs, on the cards themselves, the art really does it for me. It really invokes the memories that I have from the Dungeons and Dragons, the early days when I was playing back in middle school, the first and second edition, especially the first edition, the little illustrations you see in the rule books, whether it's the player's guide or the dungeon master's guide. This really reminds me of that, so it appeals greatly to me, and I love the style of artwork done by the creator. The artwork sets the theme and the tone, and it holds it throughout the entire game. You're never looking at something that pulls you out of it. It only enhances the experience. And even the decision just to use the same cardstock for the currency, I think, was spot on. Having the drawings and the warning of counterfeit is death. I mean, all these little touches on the artwork I really, really enjoy. Gameplay is simple to learn, easy to pick up and get going. It's really fun as a solo game. I haven't played it with anybody in a two-player version or against somebody else. The only thing I can say to the negative, and whether or not it's negative or not, is the rulebook version without any of the home rules seems to be quite easy, unless the shuffle gives you a bunch of crazy hard monsters in the beginning. But other than that, I haven't had a hard time. I've won many more than I've lost through my playthroughs using the rules out of the rulebook. I don't know if the expansions are going to add some more difficulty to it or not, but that is my only complaint, would be that it just seems too easy with the base version. Or maybe I'm just getting really lucky and maybe it's not that easy. But that's really not a complaint, because sometimes I want an easy game and I have more fun just working out a story in my mind. I have my 3 characters that are going through the journey, and I tell myself when I draw the different locations what's going on. And yes, it's kind of geeky, but hey, it makes it more fun for me. So geeky or not, that's what I do. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Let me know with some comments what you liked or didn't like about what I did or the game itself. I'm putting a channel update video together, and I'm going to put those out on a regular basis. That way, for people that don't watch any of the final gameplay videos where I do a lot of my talking about what's coming up, I think it makes much more sense to do a individual channel update video every 2 weeks or every month. And this idea came from watching the channel updates that Colin does over on One Stop Co-op Shop, and I made a comment that I like this style and that I'm going to steal that idea from him and go ahead and do channel updates to put out information on a easier basis instead of relying on people to watch the end of a video that they may not be interested in that series. Be sure to check out the other videos on the channel if you have not done so, and I look forward to shooting the update videos and my next playthrough, and I'll see you in my next video.